It was actually Jason Plato who turned out to be the big winner in qualifying. He left it until the dying moments of the session, but on his final flying lap pulled out a blinder to claim his first pole position of the season.
I think we'll be strong to start with, and then we'll start to fade away a little bit. I just hope that being on pole, I don't know where the BMs are, but hopefully I can get in the first corner first and then dictate the pace of the race.
Plato nailed P1 on the grid by almost half a second, snatching the top slot from his teammate, but Matt Jackson was still pretty happy to settle the second and lock out the front row for the Racing Silverline team.
We're starting in the best possible position, and we've just got to, get our heads down, and hopefully we can disappear off over the hill and be gone. But I'm sure it's not going to be that easy.
Colin Turkington was the only man who came close to the Chevys. The Northern Irishman qualified third and could prove their biggest challenge in the race.
It all come together in qualifying, and there's two Chevys in front of me, so I can see a bit of a roadblock coming by the first corner.
Adam Jones lines up fourth despite engine worries, and it was a good day for Jonathan Adam. He's fifth in the Airwaves BMW. Reigning champion Fabrizio Giovanardi has some work to do from sixth, and in seventh it's Stephen Jelly, bouncing back after his huge shunt at Donington Park. Andrew Jordan is eighth on the grid, ahead of Donington winner Rob Collard, and championship leader Matt Neal rounds out the top 10. James Thompson ended up a disappointing 12th, and there's a new face on the grid this weekend. James Nash joins Plato and Jackson at Racing Silverline. He starts 16th place. So confirmation of Plato's huge qualifying advantage. Turkington's the top BMW driver, a 10th ahead of Jones. Incredibly close times for Adams and Giovanardi. Jordan lines up directly behind his teammate, and Matt Neal makes it 3 VXRs in a row.
Louise Goodman with the qualifying details. At Donington 2 weeks ago, James Thompson became the 7th different winner in the championship this season. He's back down the grid for this 10th race, though. It's Matt Neal's consistency in the VX Racing Vauxhall that keeps him top of the championship. He scored points in each of the 9 races so far. He's 13 clear of Colin Turkington in the Team RAC BMW, with Rob Collard third in the Airwaves BMW after his second win of the season at Donington. Reigning champion Fabrizio Giovanardi is fourth, 22 points off the lead. But it is proving to be a very open season indeed, and with Jason Plato on pole, there's a highly competitive race coming up in a few minutes' time. The drivers' parade has been completed in the wonderful sunshine that looks set for the whole afternoon here. And for the crowd at Oulton Park, and for you watching on ITV4, the first big race of the day is just a few minutes away. Welcome back to the warm sunshine of Oulton Park. Everyone keen to work out what lies ahead. Well, we have 8 live races for you over the next 5.5 hours here on ITV4. And the action begins with round 10 of the HiQ MSA British Touring Car Championship in just a few minutes' time. The single-seaters of Formula Renault are on at 5-1, followed by the Porsche Carrera Cup at 25-2. Our second touring car action, that comes at 2:30. Round 11 of the Ginetta G50s at 3:10, followed by the Renault Clios. The Ginetta Juniors provide our penultimate racing of the day at 4:30, before round 12 of the British Touring Car Championship at 5:10. An action-packed afternoon in the Cheshire sunshine. But let's get straight onto the grid for this 10th round of the Touring Car Championship. And Louise is there.
Look at this lovely shiny Team RAC BMW. Last time you saw this car, it was piling into a concrete wall at Donington, and the team have done a fantastic job to get it back in one piece. And I'm glad to say that the driver's back in one piece as well. That was a big shunt, wasn't it? And you got a bit of whiplash from it.
Yeah, just a bit of a stiff neck, but I seem to find the only concrete wall in Donington Park, and they don't move an inch. So yeah, it was a big hit.
It was, the car was not quite a write-off, but it was pretty close, wasn't it? Just tell me about the job the team have had to do to get it back together.
Yeah, they've had a lot of late nights. It's actually the same car that hit the wall, but they've done a mega job on the rear end and the front end as well, because they got turned around into the wall. And they've basically taken it right back to the bare chassis, got it on the rig that they've got at the workshop there, and fiddled with it and put it all back together. And I think they were working till 2 in the morning before coming up here. So, thanks to all of them, and try and get the result that they deserve.
Well, you looked to be in pretty good shape so far. Were you happy with qualifying?
Yeah, I dropped a 10th at the first corner, so there could have been a little bit more, but I think our race pace will be very good. So fingers crossed.
We'll be looking out for you. Right, now let's go and grab a word with another guy just up the grid, another guy driving a BMW, Jonathan Adam. He's had some fantastic results at this circuit in the junior Formula 10 races he's done here, and he's won 7 of them, so his hopes are definitely high for this weekend. And Jonathan described that he had a funny feeling that things were going to go well. Tell us about this funny feeling you've been having this weekend.
Yeah, it's been up and down so far this year, really. We've done well at Brands Hatch in race 3. We struggled slightly at Thruxton and Donington. We were kind of out of luck, and you know, hopefully this weekend we could score some points.
What is it about this circuit that really brings out the best in you? Why is it that you've won so many times here?
It's a lovely circuit. I seem to gel with the circuit. It's got a lot of variation within the circuit. Slow corners, quick corners, and you know, I've got the results in the past, and hopefully today we could have 3 good scores. The BM feels really strong around here, so hopefully we could turn that pace into podiums.
Okay, we wish you the best of luck now. Just one more person I want to have a word with, Adam Jones. He's qualified, very well qualified in 4th place, but he has had a few problems with his engine in qualifying yesterday, and I know the team are doing a lot of work overnight to try and sort it out. Adam, tell us a bit about this engine problem that you've had.
Yeah, just a little bit of sort of intermittent problems with the engines with both cars yesterday, so it's something we sort of tried to get rid of and dial out yesterday. We sort of improved it slightly, but it was just a reoccurring problem, and we think we've sorted it overnight now, so it felt okay on the warm-up lap, but we'll see how we go now. We're only really going to know once we're flat out, really.
Frustrating for you to have that issue, because bar that, you were, well, in fact, considering that, you've been running very well here.
Yeah, it was quickest in free practice 2, and obviously we had a P4 in qualifying, so it's just frustrating because you know you lose time, and you know a 1/10 of a second at one point during qualifying would have put us from here to pole position up until Jason did his time, but it's frustrating. But you know, prior to this weekend, if you said I'd be 4th on the grid, you know, I'd have snapped your hand off.
Listen, have a good one. We'll be keeping an eye out for you, and race is about to start, so let's go up to our commentators.
Thank you very much, Louise. What an absolutely glorious day we have for you here at Oulton Park. Stunning day. Great to see so many people and some good racing in prospecting.
Yeah, very hot for the drivers and very hot for the tyres. This could be a big factor in the equivalence between the front-wheel drive and the rear-wheel drive as the race goes on.
Well, yes, 41-degree track temperature, 21-degree air temperature, so it is that much hotter than we've had at any of the touring car races so far this season, but that is actually more of a problem. They've got some cement dust to soak up some oil. John George's engine let go on his outlap there. Well,
yeah, John actually had a problem with the engine yesterday, and they put a fresh engine in that overnight. So I think it's probably an installation problem. It looks so bad. I think it's probably an oil line that has blown off. But of course, the teams here at Oulton Park are not allowed to start the engines until midday because of the church break. So they really couldn't find out until he drove that car out the pit lane that everything was all right. So I'm hoping that the engine hasn't been destroyed and it's just an installation problem. There it is going. You can see all the smoke as the oil pours onto the hot exhaust. John pulls it off the track as soon as he's aware of it, but clearly it's left a big trail of oil on that corner, and although the cement dust does soak it up quite well, it'll create a cloud storm for the cars as they drive through it, and because it's on the line they'll have no choice but to drive through it.
Well, that's going to be quite interesting, and of course they're on their formation lap now to get a little bit of experience of just where the oil is. At least they'll be able to learn that on this lap before they get into racing. It's Jason Plato then who starts on pole position, his first pole position of 2009. It's the first pole from qualifying for a Chevrolet in British touring cars in recent times, but behind the 2 Chevys on that front row they're going to have to watch out, in particular for Colin Turkington starting in 3rd in the Team RAC BMW. Let's take a look in detail at that lineup then. It's Plato with a stunning lap in qualifying that was nearly half a second faster than anybody else. Matt Jackson making it a racing silver line front row to the grid. On the 2nd row it's Colin Turkington, and a stunning effort from Adam Jones in the Cartridge World Racing Seat. We heard from him on the grid talking to Louise. That really was a tremendous qualifying performance. Behind them we've got Johnny Adam and Fabrizio Giovanardi, and the Vauxhall hasn't won a race here at Oulton Park since 2004. It doesn't seem to be a track that particularly suits them. Giovanardi's got some work to do there. 7th on the grid is Stephen Jelly in the second Team RAC car. Then the second VX Racing machine, that's of the youngster Andrew Jordan, who scored his first ever podium in touring cars here last year. Next up, it's a double race winner this year, Rob Collard in the Airwaves BMW, and championship leader Matt Neal. He's starting from 10th place in that Vauxhall. 11th, it's Harry Volkard in the Chevrolet. James Thompson, double winner at Donington, well, he's way down there in 12th place. Behind them, we've got Paul O'Neill in the sunshine.co.uk car. Tom Chilton in the Focus is alongside. And next up, his teammate Alan Morrison. Newcomer James Nash in the third Chevrolet Lassetti run by Team RML. He's next up on the grid. And then we've got Dave Pinkney and Martin Bell. And as we get towards the back of the grid, it looks like Dan Eaves is on the grid. Seemed to have a problem earlier, but he is there. John George is not, because he's had that engine problem. And Martin Johnson brings up the rear of the grid. So, cars heading round. Let's see if we can get a very quick word with James Thompson. He's starting down in 12th. This is Ben in the commentary box to James. James, qualifying didn't go quite as planned, but I think your guys have been working quite hard, haven't they, since that qualifying session?
Yeah, the poor guys. It's been pretty hard work for them this weekend in the hot weather. And no, you're right, it didn't go quite as well as planned. Obviously, after Donington, we're very confident with the car, but we decided to try a few things. The reason I'm here is to try and, basically, make the car a little bit of progress through the season if we can, and so we were in our sense of adventure. Maybe got the better of us, and we didn't quite have the same setup we had on at Donington, and it's maybe just bit us a little bit. But I have to say, I think we've got a very strong race car. It's just now a matter of the fact that I've got a few people to try and overtake.
Well, if you carry on like that, you'll be commentating the race for us. I'm going to take over now. There'll be nothing left for me to say, mate.
OK, mate. I'll look forward to speaking to you later.
Right, we are set then for the start of round 10 of the championship. It's Plato looking at that picture on the left as you look at it, and it's the pits. Dan Eaves, he has still got problems. Just see him tucking into the pit lane from the back. But we're getting ready for the start of this race. Plato and Jackson on the front row, Turkington and Jones on the second row. Watch for the fast-starting BMWs. Away we go, and here comes Turkington trying to go through the middle. He's got past one of them, but Plato's going to try and fend him off, but he can't. Colin Turkington leads into the first corner from third on the grid, and the man who's won here twice in the last 2 years gets in front again. It's the two Chevys chasing, and so far so good around this first lap. I think they've made it all through Old Hall safely.
They have a great start by Turkington, but he'll definitely be under pressure from the two Chevys in these opening laps as the BMW gets its tyres up to temperature. I think the BMW will be strong at the end of the race, but he could be under pressure at the start.
Side by side, Giovanardi and Adam Jones slightly further down the order. Giovanardi on the inside. Jones didn't get away particularly well at the start of this race and has paid the penalties. Lost a couple of places in the yellow and green Seat, but up front, no doubt about the Team RAC BMW. That's Colin Turkington. Plato in second place. Jackson in third. Johnny Adam in a good fourth in the Airwaves BMW. There's a lock-up in the background, and Jones got a bit of a squeeze from somebody there. Couldn't quite see who it was.
Collard. It was Collard pushing his way through on that first lap. As here they go through. Look how wide they are, some of them. I think that was Adam Jones right out over the rumble strips. So they're either unsighted. That is 100 plus miles an hour at the top of the hill.
Yeah, this is a fantastic part of the Oulton Park circuit. Up through the Druids Corner, where they're through here at over 100 miles an hour, and then onto the next straight. And Plato's on the attack for the lead of the race. Turkington leads, but Jason Plato that bit closer. Turkington definitely lost a bit of ground on that last little section, and the rest of them coming through as they come up this time to cross the line for the first time. It's Turkington leading, Plato in second position. Jackson is in third, but he's under a bit of pressure from Johnny Adams. Stephen Jelly's well up. He's in fifth place. Then it's Giovanardi in sixth place. Collard in seventh. Alan Jones down to eighth place, having started on the second row.
Well, Turkington's won a race here at Oulton Park in both the previous years, so he knows how to do it. But Plato similarly knows he has to attack early on, and perhaps with that oil down at Nickerbrook is just giving him a chance to be a little bit braver. It was Plato's 26th pole position of his BTCC career, so he knows his way around. And look how he gains under braking.
Yeah, it's the first non-Vauxhall pole position from qualifying we've had this year, which is interesting. Chevy finally beating Vauxhall's stranglehold on that pole position, but he's definitely on the attack here as they come back down the hill into the first part of the chicane. The Hislops part is right and left, and then into the Knickerbrook section as they come out. This is where the oil is. This is where they have to place the car carefully. Look at them kicking up the dust, trying to stay off the worst of it, but Turkington gets through there. Behind them is still Jackson Jackson versus Johnny Adam, then Stephen Jelly coming up the hill, followed by Fabrizio Giovanardi, Rob Collard in there, and then Adam Jones. Giovanardi could be one to watch. He needs to score some points versus Matt Neal, and the championship leader at the moment is down in 9th place.
Well, Giovanardi's had 4 podiums here in the last 6 races over the last 2 years, but never won a race here, as you said. But he has always been carrying more ballast.
That's a good point, yeah, but he loves this circuit, and as you say, never having taken a victory personally, I think that's something he would want to correct if possible. And as we know, of course, Vauxhall pulling out of touring cars at the end of the year, so he's not got that many opportunities in a Vectra, so he's going to have to go on the attack, and he's beginning to put Stephen Jelly under a bit more pressure here. This is for 5th place, and Giovanardi, the Italian, very good run through Old Hall, but can he go anywhere with it?
Well, he had huge mid-corner speed there, right at the apex. He was carrying a good few miles an hour faster than Stephen Jelly, but he just couldn't capitalise on the exit of the corner. He almost ran into the back, actually. Probably had to back out of the throttle.
So Stephen Jelly holds on to 5th place at the moment. Remember, that car damaged as it was at the beginning of the Donington event, and here's a chance for Giovanardi. Jelly turns in late, too wide. You don't allow a space like that for Fabrizio Giovanardi, otherwise he'll be right there. And there's a little bit of touching. He's on the grass as he tries to keep going, but Giovanardi will not give up in a situation like this. It's going to be a battle on the brakes now into the right-hander at Islops, and he's through.
Yeah, he's through, with Collard looking to take advantage but not getting through. I mean, Giovanardi can always turn his car very tightly and still get good exit, and just a little touch on the back of the BMW forces Jelly to correct the oversteer, and that was enough of a chance for Giovanardi to get up the inside.
The yellow and green Seat of Adam Jones is on the back of that little cube, but Giovanardi now in 5th. That puts Stephen Jelly down into 6th. We gather there's a problem for Matt Neal, or is it the other one? It's Jordan. It's Andrew Jordan, is it? Just looking back, I think it is Andrew Jordan in trouble in the other Vauxhall, looking back from James Thompson, and look at that, definite problem there.
Well, I don't think it's a puncture, but it's definitely some bodywork seriously rubbing on the tyre. Look how it goes away there, but comes back the smoke when the wheel's under compression, so it's rubbing on the bodywork.
So that's a bit of a, yep, there you are. You see it clearly as he turns into Old Hall Corner. Matt Neal's just ahead of them. There's Giovanardi coming through. If you carry on looking back, Adam Jones in the middle of the shot. And there's Matt Neal on the attack with James Thompson, side by side, those two. It's actually Thompson trying to pass Neal, but he couldn't quite do it there. And James Thompson with the day glow flashes. You're on board with James Thompson now, winner of the first 2 races of the day at Donington, on the attack, trying to get past championship leader Matt Neal. At the moment, the Vauxhall stays ahead.
Yeah, Matt Neal very defensive there into the island hairpin, as he had to be, and it's very difficult for the car following to actually gain much on the exit, because they both accelerate in unison, one after another, as they get round the corner, and that gives them a little gap on the exit.
So down into Hislops they come. All and off, that's Harry Volkard in the Chevy Lacetti, the Temper Sport car. Oh, that's a disappointment. He was running just outside the top 10. He was just behind Andrew Jordan. He had Paul O'Neill around him as well. Not quite sure what happened, but he's obviously dropped to the tail of the field. Has rejoined as we're back with the race leader. It's still Colin Turkington, just about fending off Jason Plater. Adam Jones there took a funny line out of Druid's corner in the background. I saw whether Jelly made a mistake. There's what happened to Volkard. Difficult to see whether there was any touch at the beginning or whether he just lost it on the brakes.
No, there was definitely some contact there as he turned in, but Paul O'Neill just looking up the inside into that very, very tight Knickerbrook chicane. Oh, Plato very wide there.
Oh, experimenting with the dirt on the exit of Old Hall Corner, but it doesn't do him much good. He's still there in 2nd place, and Matt Jackson's running strongly in 3rd. These 2 Chevys are shining here in the sunshine at Oulton Park. 4th place for Johnny Adam, 5th still for Giovanardi, who's not really been able to close the gap. Then Jelly, then Jones, Matt Neal in the first of the Vauxhalls in that shot, but he's got Rob Collard behind him and James Thompson.
Yeah, well, Collard's passed Thompson, because Matt Neal, we saw pass him on the last lap, and Collard's snuck through as well.
Yes, indeed. So Matt Neal has got past Collard himself, though. Look at this. This is going to be fun as Thompson tries to come back at the BMW, taking to the grass in his attempts. Now trying to squeeze down the inside. Oh, that's good stuff. Collard was being as aggressive as possible, but Tomo was having none of it.
Well, they've got some new brakes on the front of that Dynamics Honda, and they certainly seem to be working there. He used them to the max. I wasn't sure when he initiated that whether he was going to haul the car up, but he stopped it perfectly.
Yeah, that was great stuff. And after the suspension changes last overnight. I wonder if Tomo's feeling a bit happier with the car. Struggled with it, as we heard, in qualifying, but he's now got himself ahead of Rob Collard. Andrew Jordan still at the back of that group. Less tyre smoke now than there was, so maybe it's just worn a little groove in that left front tyre.
Yeah, it's one little niche for the tyre to work. It's a case of, is he going to wear the body work out fast or the tyre out fast? And he seems to have got away with it.
Yeah, well,
Plato is still on the case, though. Turkington hasn't got away. We're just a third into the race, and the front-wheel drive cars haven't suffered any tyre deterioration yet, but we do expect in these high temperatures that the front-wheel drive cars could suffer on the last third of the race.
Well, that would be to Turkington's advantage, clearly. Andrew Jordan has got past Rob Collard. In the background, James Nash having a good run in his debut in British touring cars in another of the RML-run Chevrolet Lassettis, the blue cars. You've got two of them up there, Plato and Jackson running second and third. Nash running in 13th place, ahead now of Paul O'Neill and Dave Bickney and Alan Morrison. Tom Chilton, by the way, in the first of the Ford Focuses, he's running in 12th place, just outside the points as we continue once again in this sort of mid-group battle. Thompson 9th, there's Jordan in 10th, and then Rob Collard in 11th. There's James Nash with the blue Chevrolet. Right behind him, we've got Chilton. In fact, he's passed Chilton there, so there's been a change of position.
Yeah, great to see James Nash in the series, a former Seat Euro Series driver, and doing a really respectable job with RML now running 3 cars in the British Touring Car Championship, having started the year not running any. And of course, they're racing the World Touring Car Championship this weekend in Valencia, so busy weekend for them.
Yeah, it's pretty tough, isn't it? But they're doing well. They've got 2 cars in the top 3 at the moment, and there's James Nash. Pretty well, good representation from him, as you say, on his debut. He's raced in Formula Ford in the UK, he's raced, as you say, Seats abroad, but this is another level for him, and so far so good. He's ahead of Tom Chilton in that Ford Focus, which is making strides. It's getting quicker, but there's still some work to be done by Team Aon.
Yeah, they've had another test at Pembrey this week, and they felt they make progress again, and in fact they're closer again on lap times on this, a long and technical circuit, so they are definitely making progress.
Battle between Jordan and Collard. They had a little bit of a coming together last time out at Donington, if you remember, and Andrew Jordan ended up with some penalty points on his licence. He wasn't the only one. A couple of other drivers also ended up with penalty points on their licences after a couple of problems. So there you are, Andrew Jordan followed by Rob Collard.
Yeah, now Collard was in front of James Thompson, so something's happened there to drop Collard back. If you remember, we saw he'd followed Neil through behind Thompson, so I don't know what's happened there with Collard, but he's dropped a couple of positions.
That's right. Meanwhile, further back, still James Nash in the background. Through the chicane they come, and Andrew Jordan just working hard to keep Rob Collard behind him. Collard, of course, a dominant winner of the 3rd race of the day at Donington Park, and like James Thompson, one of only 2 drivers that have taken more than 1 victory. Through up towards Druids they come.
Meanwhile, in the pit lane, Harry Volkart has retired after that contact earlier with Paul O'Neill, and Louise has him to talk to.
Harry, tell us about that incident. Was there a bit of contact there, or?
Yeah, I don't know what happened without seeing it on the footage, but I turned into the chicane. I think maybe someone was inside me, and I ended up going round, and then I got contacted again. So it's one of those unfortunate things. I don't know. I haven't seen it on TV, so I'm not going to make any speculations as to exactly what happened. But you know, it's one of those things. Touring car racing, you get a bit of rough and tough. But it's unfortunate. I think we were getting into a good stride, and the car felt like we had good pace. I think it would have come on quite strong at the end of the race, but. You know, one of the things we'll have to live and learn.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Thanks, Louise. So Harry Volkart out of this one, but we've still got some Chevrolets going well because Plato's still 2nd, Jackson is in 3rd place. This is Jordan versus Collard, which is still going on side by side, virtually on the approach into the island hairpin, and Jordan trying to keep it under control. The youngster in his 1st season with Vauxhall, of course, 2nd season in touring cars. Last year he got that 3rd place when he was driving the Honda Integra, run by his father's team, and his father Mike on the pit wall for him, talking him through what's going on here, no doubt, and hoping that he'll hold on to 10th place, keep that final point. Important as you go through the rest of the day to stay in the top 10. It always gives you a chance in that final race with the reverse grid.
Yeah, that reverse race is so important for the grid, but you've got to be in it to win it, so a good finish in these first 2 races, very important.
Up through Druids they come. Just look at the blue sky that we've got here at Oulton Park. The shadows, it is glorious, glorious sunshine, a beautiful day. And Collard still on the attack in the airwaves, BMW there. His teammate, by the way, running strongly in 4th place. Johnny Adam going very, very well in 4th. And that's good because he had a little bit of a disappointing time last time out, with more Thruxton than Donington, but still he'd be pleased to be back up there.
And just to show you how things have changed with the dynamics of the tyre life, both Colin Turkington leading and his team RAC teammate Stephen Jelly set their fastest laps on that last lap. Meanwhile, however, the front-wheel drive cars of Plato, Jackson have actually lost about half a second over their best lap time. So it just shows you the dynamics of how tyre wear and tyre life changes front-wheel drive to rear-wheel drive.
Yeah, it is interesting. And Jordan there into the hairpin. You're still riding on board with Rob Collard here, and it's got a good run out of the corner, but can he do anything? Jordan's going to surely move to the right here to stop him coming down the inside. There's not much space there. You can see it from the onboard camera. Now Jordan eases just to the middle of the road, just to make sure Collard doesn't try the outside line either, and it stays situation remain. Fastest lap in this race, as you say, Tim, was set by Matt Jackson earlier on. That is a new lap record, by the way, a 1:28.106, beating Turkington's lap record from last year of 28.5, so that's good improvement.
Yeah, but Turkington is able, as I say, on that last lap to lap at 28.2, only 1/10 of a second away, despite being into the race. And Jackson, who set that fast lap, is now doing a 1:28.6, which of course is that half a second away.
Yep, so the BMW's definitely coming into their own as this race continues. We're on lap 10 out of 15, and we're on board with Collard again through Lodge Corner, dipping down, climbing the hill the other side to complete another lap. And Collard really having to think about this, using his racing brain. He's got one of the most experienced racing brains, all his years of racing on the oval tracks in hot rods before he switched to circuit racing, Rob Collard, and he's trying everything here. But the youngster Andrew Jordan, so far so good, is soaking up the pressure. Collard's going to have a look down the inside into Cascades. Good driving by both of them.
Yeah, it was good driving. Jordan was very late on the brakes there because it looked like the door was open for Collard, but Jordan was very late and was still able to get his line and have a good exit. So much so he didn't need to defend into the hairpin. But it's going to take a little mistake or maybe a little shove from Collard to get through.
Yeah, well, we've still got a bit of time to go, haven't we? Colin Turkington still leads this race. 9 laps completed. We're on lap 10 out of 15. Jason Plato's still running in second, but this is the closest battle we've got in the top 10, or to be in the top 10. Andrew Jordan in the Vauxhall holding on to 10th narrowly from the Airways BMW of Rob Collard, and back on board with Collard we go. This is wonderful stuff up beneath the bridge as they climb towards that double apex right-hander coming up through this section, and it's very quick on the approach. A brief little bit of braking, you see the back end of the car sliding a bit over that second apex, and Jordan maintains his momentum.
There's a fabulous corner, that one, and it sets you up for Lodge. Collard is looking at the inside, but it's really just to try and distract Andrew Jordan. Look how much inside curve those cars are able to take. It hardly deflects the car at all.
No, it's fantastic, isn't it? It's all down to some very clever damping. The shock absorbers soaking up the curves on the inside, and Collard maybe have a little think into Old Hall. He's harrying, he's trying everything just to unsettle Jordan's rhythm, but so far he's sticking resolutely to his line and staying in front in this battle for 10th.
Yeah, it's a very close battle indeed. Jordan driving very sweetly, very smoothly, defending when he needs to. That was close, wasn't it? Very close.
Great shots from the onboard camera, sitting in the front bumper there of the Airways BMW. You can see how close he gets. Let's see how tight into the back of the Vauxhall he gets once again through Island Hairpin. And now he's trying to get the drive off the corner using his rear-wheel drive BMW. But look how evenly matched these 2-litre engines are. There's hardly anything between them, is there?
No, the initial acceleration is just slightly better on the BMW because it puts the power down better, but then they seem very equal down the rest of the straight. The braking is very equal as well.
Yeah, nothing to choose between them. That oil that was laid down earlier by John George's car, that's pretty much gone now. It's been driven over enough times to be worn away. Behind these guys, James Nash is still sitting in 12th place. We've got Paul O'Neill in 13th. Tom Chilton is running 14th. Just quickly run you through that top 10, by the way. It is Turkington leading, and this is a little battle that's opening up. This is for 5th place, and remember, Giovanardi in the Vauxhall there got past Stephen Jelly, but now, because the rear-wheel drive BMW is coming into its own, suddenly Giovanardi finds himself under pressure again.
Yeah, I mean, on the lap previous to this, Jelly was over 3/4 of a second quicker. Now he's behind him. He's obviously lapping at a similar pace, but he certainly has the grip advantage at this stage.
So the Vauxhall's definitely not in their element, I would say, here at Oulton Park. We're not seeing the sort of dominant pace that we have seen from them at some circuits like Thruxton. They're having to work hard here, and Giovanardi, look at the tight line he's taking all the way down towards the hairpin. Make sure he doesn't leave the door open there for the BMW.
Yeah, you can see through the windscreen he was virtually putting his hand across the top of the steering wheel to grab a huge arm for the lock to yank it round.
And he took such a tight line around the hairpin. All he wanted was the inside line here, so that now when he comes down to his lobs and into Knickerbrook, he's got the advantage of track position, which he holds. And that's sensible driving from the double champion, of course, looking for his hat-trick of titles this year, but that's proving to be a bit harder this season. Now, what's been going on here?
Well, this is Collard up against Andrew Jordan, and a good save by Jordan, that perhaps ending as we thought it might, with a lunge up the inside.
Yeah, well, they were so close, those two, but that is vital. That is for 10th place and 1 point. Meanwhile, the two Chevrolets are pretty close. Matt Jackson close to the back of Plato. Johnny Adam comes through in 4th. 5th is still the Vauxhall there of Fabrizio Giovanardi. 6th place for the Team RAC machine of Stephen Jelly. But look at these two Chevys, absolutely together now. Nothing to choose between Jason Plato and Matt Jackson. Turkington's got a 2.5 second advantage now, so the BMW is looking good up front, but 2nd place could still be argued about between these two teammates.
Yeah, I'm sure that the team will be telling them to be sensible at least, but Matt Jackson seems to have at least the equal pace at this stage of the race of Plato, but I'm sure he won't do anything stupid.
It's interesting to see these two, isn't it, in the same team together, because last year, of course, Matt Jackson snatched that runners-up spot at the very last race when it looked like Jason was going to be 2nd in the championship, but Matt snatched it, and now here they are, teammates.
Yeah, I mean, this is a fantastic driver combination. Two really highly talented guys, neither of whom were looking like they're going to be racing this year, despite having finished 2nd and 3rd in the championship.
Yeah, it's good stuff, and now Jackson's really got something to measure himself against. Now, this battle continues as Stephen Jelly, obviously looking for a solid weekend after the disappointments of Donington. Adam Jones still running quietly in 7th, still a good result for Cartridge World Racing, although they'll be a bit disappointed after that stunning qualifying performance. And then behind Jones, we've still got Matt Neal running in 8th. James Thompson, he's up in the top 10, he's in 9th position. And Rob Collard, as we know now, he's in 10th. Jordan did survive that slide down at Cascades, he's in 11th. And then James Nash in 12th, Paul O'Neill 13th, Tom Chilton 14th, ahead of the other focus of Alan Morrison in 15th. Then it's Dave Pinkney, Dan Eves, Martin Bell, Martin Johnson. We've only lost the one car, that was Harry Volkard earlier on. Everybody else still running in this race.
Yeah, 2 laps to go now, so things just tightening up a bit, but Jelly hasn't given up hope of getting that 5th place of Giovanardi.
No, he's going to keep chasing, there's no doubt. A couple of laps to go, as you say, and the pressure's still on. We've seen Turkington pulling away up front. He's had that clear air that Stephen Jelly would love to find once more if he could get alongside Fabrizio Giovanardi, but he's got to manage it first. And of course, it was a bit of contact with a Vauxhall that put Jelly in the wall. It wasn't a big problem in terms of somebody's fault, but there was slight contact between himself and Matt Neal at Donington in the wet, and that's what meant Jelly went into that wall quite as heavily as he did. But the team have done well to build up a new car for this weekend.
Well, I think it's testament to the structural strength and integrity of the body shell in the first place, and also to the West Surrey crew who rebuilt that car.
Adam Jones still behind them, and then it's Matt Neal in the other Vauxhall. Very quiet race from him, but he's got James Thompson pretty close behind in the Team Dynamics Honda Civic there, which worked so well at Donington. It struggled a bit yesterday, but seems to be showing a slightly better pace now. And Matt Neal's got his mirrors full. Remember, Matt's carrying maximum ballast here, so lots of lead weight aboard that Vauxhall as a result. Oh, and off! Oh, running wide, getting back on. It's one of the shifts. Matt Jackson from 2nd. Matt Jackson from 2nd place has run wide.
Now he's got a puncture. Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure there'll be a reason, and he's got a puncture. Look at that. As we said, the very high tyre wear, especially on the left front. In these temperatures, it's almost like Thruxton conditions, but of course here we use the standard tyre. We don't use a special tyre here, and maybe they're going to have to look at slightly less camber on the left front for the next race.
Well, it almost made it to the end because we're on to the last lap, but it just didn't quite make it to the very end of the race, and it means that Johnny Adam has moved up to 3rd place. Giovanardi is now battling for 4th with Stephen Jelly, so that's quite a significant improvement for Giovanardi by losing one of the Chevys up ahead. It's going to boost his chances of closing that points gap a little bit. And remember that Turkington here is currently 2nd in the points to Matt Neal. Coming into this meeting, Matt Neal is now in 7th, but Turkington's on for the maximum point score here.
Yeah, and the RML crew will just be holding their breath to make sure that Jason Plato gets to the end as well, because he, I'm sure, is running a very similar setup.
Giovanardi still busy defending from Stephen Jelly there, and Jelly can't quite find the space that he's looking for. Great battle in the Independent Teams Championship, by the way, between Team RAC and Airwaves, and Airwaves fractionally ahead coming into this meeting, but Team RAC have got the edge in this race, despite Johnny Adam looking at a solid third place. Coming down towards Lodge Corner now for the final time. It's Colin Turkington who took the lead from the second row of the grid and has driven absolutely perfectly. It's his third win in 3 years at Oulton Park. Colin Turkington takes victory for Team RAC. Second place will go to Jason Plato after a solid effort, but a worry for him at the end there. Third place, I think, is going to go to Johnny Adam. Yes, Adam crosses, and fourth is just Giovanardi from Stephen Jelly. Adam Jones comes home in 6th place. Matt Neils finishes 7th. Thompson in 8th. Collard finishes in 9th. And I think Andrew Jordan will end up in 10th place, despite that minor off earlier on, but because we lost Matt Jackson towards the end, Jordan gets back into the top 10, and James Nash a close 11th in the end, so a very good debut from Nash. But it's Colin Turkington there, Tim, who just drove away. Once the heat began to tell, he just eased away from those Chevys.
A great drive by Turkington, one really from the start, that brilliant start off the line. The two Chevys in front of him couldn't close the gap early enough to stop him coming through, and then, as you say, he soaked up that initial pressure from the front-wheel drive cars until their tyres started to go away a little bit before his, and then it was really a matter of routine, just clicking off the laps till the end.
Matt Jackson finishes the race in 19th place. He came in and changed that front tyre, went back out to make sure of the finish of the race, but that's a huge disappointment for Jackson, who really needed the points, and that is a bit of a blow to him. But it's Turkington who takes victory, his 15th career win in the British Touring Cars, and it's the 4th win for a BMW in 2009, and BMW's having quite a good record here at Oulton Park, as does Colin Turkington. There's the result then: Plato in 2nd, Adam in 3rd, then Giovanardi 4th, Stephen Jelly in 5th, ahead of Adam Jones, Matt Neal, the series leader, who's lost a lot of points to Turkington there, James Thompson in 8th, Rob Collard in 9th, and Andrew Jordan, who finished in 10th place. Just outside the points, James Nash on his debut in another of the RML Chevys. Paul O'Neill was in 12th, ahead of the two Focuses of the Team Aon drivers, then Dave Bickney, Dan Eves and Martin Johnson, and all of them finished the race, except, of course, for the Tempest Sport car of Harry Volkard. So the drivers just making their way down, round on this slow-down lap. Let's just take a look at what it's done in the points, and I told you it was going to make a big difference. I hadn't realised it would make quite that much. 1 point now separating Matt Neal from Colin Turkington. That victory for Turkington absolutely crucial. Fabrizio Giovanardi in 3rd place now, so he's clear of Rob Collard. They were tied on points coming into this one, and Plato finds himself in 4th place, so it's still very little to choose between them, but Neal and Turkington separated by just 1 point. So into the pits the guys have come. Colin Turkington from Jason Plato and Johnny Adam, and let's just remember it's a very good result for Johnny Adam, the youngster in his first season of British Touring Cars, who's had a great winning record here at Oulton Park in the support championships of the Clios and the Seats. But let's get some reaction down there in the pits. Let's go to Steve.
So Colin Turkington, race winner, and a very happy one, of course. Second race win of the season. One on that first weekend at Brands Hatch, but this one so important in terms of the championship. And it looked like Colin just about a perfect drive after the perfect start, certainly.
Yeah, you know, the start made my race, and you know, that was my chance to get past Jason. He's a tough customer to get past on the track, so to do it off the line is fantastic, and all credit to my guys. You know, the car was running unbelievably well. You know, it was really consistent, so really happy for everybody. Team RAC.
Running especially well as the race progressed.
Yeah, that's true. You know, it's when you're out in the lead, you can think about things a little bit more, and you know, I was just thinking, you know, look after these tyres, and we did that, so the pace was great.
Matt Jackson had a puncture. How tough is it on tyres out there?
It's very tough, you know, even on my car, you know, the rear-wheel drive BMW, you know, the tyres do start to go away at the end, so, you know, you really have to think of it from the start and try and start managing it, so...
And with Matt Neal having a quiet race, how important is this in terms of the championship as well?
Yeah, it's good for me, you know, it's I'm trying not to focus too much on the other guys, you know, and just try and do my own thing. You know, that's a good haul of points for me, so that's the most important thing.
So what do you expect to get from the rest of the afternoon?
Well, hopefully more of the same, you know, a bit more weight in the car, but, you know, I don't think we need to touch it. It's running unbelievably well.
OK, congratulations, Colin Turkington, our race winner. Let's get further reaction. Louise has got 2nd and 3rd. Jason, I think, with Louise.
Standing here with Jason at the moment. Jason, it kind of got away from you at the start, didn't it?
You know, I mean, we had a good race actually, and the car was very strong early on, and up to about mid-distance, I had the legs of Colin. But the BMW off the start's a weapon, isn't it? And that's where they score. And you know, there was half a chance a couple of times to have a real dangerous lunge, but it's not the last race of the championship yet, is it?
It kind of was a race of two halves in a way. I mean, you were strong in the early part, but the BMW really came into its own in the latter stages, didn't it?
It did, and I kind of just thought, okay, Colin's not going to make a mistake. He looked like he was driving within himself, so I thought, well, do I keep pushing and potentially damaging a tyre or bending a rim or cutting a tyre, or do I say, okay, second's enough, and well, just stay close enough to see if he makes a mistake? But in the end, he, you know, I gave him a bit of space, really.
Well, biggest challenge came from your teammate most of the way through, but in the end it was this guy, Johnny Adam, who has ended up in third place. Congratulations. You said you had a funny feeling this weekend, didn't you?
Yeah, delighted to get a podium for Airways BMW. Came from grid 5 to grid 3 to finish third, and the car lost a little bit of performance there just towards the end, but we'll finely tune the car and hopefully we could show more pace in race 2.
Were you confident that you would get a result this good?
Yeah, really. Obviously from yesterday's qualifying we were all confident within the team, and you know, I did say I wanted a podium earlier on, and we managed to obviously make that in race 1.
Well, it bodes really well for the rest of the weekend, so we'll be keeping an eye on you. We'll be back with some Formula Renault action after this break.